On a beautiful summer morning, this worker arrives at his client's mansion to clean the pool. However, his attention is immediately drawn to a maid at the mansion. As they exchange flirtatious glances, the maid decides to send away her 2 daughters, Violet and Ivy, in order to have a private time with the worker. As soon as they leave, the maid begins to share a smooch with the worker in her boss's room. Meanwhile, Ivy and Violet find Joy, the boss's daughter, playing alone.
Can you play, Joy? Come on.
So they join her in a tea party. As they play together, Ivy looks through the window and sees the boss returning home. So she quickly informs the other girls of the impending trouble.
There's gonna be fireworks.
As the boss enters the house, he calls out for his wife. However, she's far away in the garden and doesn't hear the call. As the man looks around the house, he picks up the sound of moans emerging from one of the rooms, so he gets suspicious and goes to find out. The moment he opens the door, he's shocked to find his maid in a passionate embrace with the pool cleaner. However, the shock immediately washes away, and he tries to fight the worker, but he's instantly overpowered and knocked out. The commotion draws the wife's attention from the garden, so she slowly walks into the house to see the situation. As the pool cleaner leaves, the maid begins to beg for forgiveness from the boss. But this isn't the first time he had caught her sneaking around with men. It turns out, he has also been sleeping with her.
You think that this is easy? Sneaking around your wife and pretending that there's nothing between us?
As they argue about this, the wife walks into the house and overhears their conversation, leaving her shocked.
How long? You've been sleeping with my husband.
Seeing that his secret affair with the maid has been exposed, the man quickly walks away from the room, heartbroken. The wife fires the maid and tells her to leave the house immediately. Unknown to them, this scene is being watched from another room. The maid eventually leaves with her 2 daughters, but before they leave, Joy, the boss's daughter, gives her favorite toy to Violet in hopes that they meet again in the future. 11 years later, Violet returns to the mansion as an adult to visit Joy. The 2 girls are happy to be reunited after several years, so during dinner, they chat together to catch up on old times. Joy's father, Ivan, is also present for dinner and joins along in the conversation. Suddenly, Violet reveals that her intention for being in the city is to search for a job. As she narrates the difficulties in finding an apartment, Joy happily offers her a room in the mansion.
Why not stay here?
Ivan is shocked at his daughter's proposal and immediately calls her out for a discussion in the kitchen. He criticizes her for being overly open-minded and tries to convince her to withdraw the offer. But Joy insists on letting Violet stay at the mansion. She even decides to give up her late mother's bedroom to Violet.
That was your mother's room, Joy.
I know that, Dad.
Later that night, as Violet explores her new bedroom, she brings out a doll from her bag and tells it that she had finally fulfilled her promise to return to the mansion after years.
I promised you we'd be home again.
Then, she takes a bath and goes to meet Joy. As they catch up on old times, Violet sees a portrait of a man and inquires about him. Joy reveals that the man is Michael, her boyfriend, whom she plans on marrying before leaving for college in Yale. She also reveals that Michael would be visiting the house soon. Unknown to her, Violet isn't happy about this news and puts on a sinister expression. But this expression doesn't last long as she immediately turns to smile sweetly at the unsuspecting Joy. The next day, Violet spies on Ivan as he leaves the house for work. Then, she hides in a wardrobe to prevent Joy from finding her. Seeing that Violet is nowhere to be found, Joy leaves the house for tennis practice, leaving Violet in the house together with the housekeeper. Now alone at the mansion, Violet sneaks into Joy's room and stumbles on a box containing letters from Michael. But she's almost discovered by the housekeeper. That night, Michael joins them for dinner, which shifts everyone's attention from Violet to him. Violet notices this and grows sullen. She even isolates herself during Michael's party, drinking alone in a corner. As everyone gathers together after the party to talk about their accomplishments, someone makes a mockery of Violet's low academic status. So she fires back by taunting them for getting into Ivy League school due to their parents' wealth.
They'll accept just about anybody, as long as your welfare check doesn't bounce.
After she leaves the party, Joy cautions her friends for their behavior towards Violet, but they respond by laughing at her for making friends with a maid's daughter. Meanwhile, inside the room, Violet dresses in lingerie and prepares to leave for work. But as she returns after her night shift, she discovers Joy and Michael making out together, so she goes to eavesdrop and overhears Joy refusing to sleep with Michael. As Michael dejectedly leaves the house, he almost stumbles into Violet. She flirtatiously invites him to sleep with her, so he falls for her seduction, and they eventually make out in the living room. Afterwards, as Violet prepares to sleep, Joy suddenly enters to apologize for her friend's bad behavior. As they sit together for a chat, Joy opens up about her lack of feelings towards Michael, so Violet assures her that everything will be fine. Early the next day, Violet goes swimming in Joy's late mother's robe. As she pulls off the robe in front of the pool, Ivan notices her through a window and becomes bewitched by her body. Violet notices his stares and continues to lure him with her charms. Later in the day, as Violet reads through Michael's letter to Joy, she discovers that Michael suffers from drug addiction, so she takes mental note of this discovery.
Well, Michael had a little drug problem, did he?
However, she's distracted by the arrival of a visitor, who is Joy's training partner. As Joy and the trainer play tennis together, Violet spies on them and overhears the trainer preparing to get a drink from the kitchen.
I'm gonna go get a drink. Do you want anything?
Upon hearing this, Violet immediately rushes into the kitchen and pours a bottle of alcohol into the fruit drink. The trainer, unaware of this, decides to pour a little more alcohol into the drink. After drinking it, both Joy and the trainer become drunk and are unable to practice for the tennis tournament coming up the next day. As Joy dozes off on a bench, Michael arrives at the house and finds her drunk. So, with Violet's help, he drags her into the house to prevent Ivan from seeing his drunken daughter. Later in the night, Violet lies to Michael that Joy doesn't love him and had gotten drunk due to the stress of their relationship. Michael believes this and flares up at the thought of Joy cheating on him.
I can't believe she's cheated on me after I've been faithful this whole time.
Violet tries to use this opportunity to make out with him again, but he warns her to stay away from him.
You just stay away from me, all right?
So Violet goes to her next victim, Ivan. She offers him some tea and makes advances toward him, hinting at her intentions.
Don't be afraid to follow where it leads.
Then she leaves to find Michael again and offers him some drugs. He becomes intoxicated by the drugs and falls for her seduction, so they make out again. After the deed, Michael warns her to never tell anyone about their secret. But she sneers behind him as she picks up the jacket he forgot to take with him while leaving.
Play to win, Michael.
The next day, Joy suffers from a severe hangover, so Violet offers her some coffee and words of comfort. Suddenly, Ivan barges in and reveals that he had found Michael's jacket with some drugs in it. Joy is shocked and tries to explain that her boyfriend had stopped taking drugs, but the father ignores her explanation and insists that she break up with Michael. Joy becomes destabilized by this. When Michael visits later in the day, Violet offers to talk to him on her behalf, but when she meets him, she tells him to either leave or risk having their secrets leaked, so Michael dejectedly leaves. Meanwhile, Violet returns and lies to Joy that Michael seemed too high, so she couldn't talk to him. Joy believes this and makes up her mind to break up with Michael once and for all. That night, Ivan prepares to go on a date with a colleague. As soon as he leaves for the date, the house telephone rings, so Violet overtakes the housekeeper to pick up the call. Then, she impersonates Joy and answers the call. The caller, unaware of this, tells her to inform Ivan that the date location had been changed. Upon hearing this, Violet promises to deliver the information to Ivan, but she ends up not passing the update.
I stood outside the courthouse for nearly an hour. To say I'm pissed off would be an understatement.
So, Ivan returns home feeling disappointed after his date failed to show up at the agreed location. As he drinks away his disappointment, Violet walks in all dressed up. She invites him to a dance and seduces him into sleeping with her. The next day, Joy leaves to compete in the tennis tournament but is stopped by Michael, who wants to reconcile with her, so she agrees to meet him after the tournament.
All right, we'll talk. After the tournament, I'll meet you.
Meanwhile, the housekeeper receives a call from Ivan's last night date and realizes that Violet is up to no good. She immediately prepares to reveal the truth to Ivan, but Violet sees through her plan and stops her in time. Later in the day, Michael runs into Violet on the street and stops his car to confront her deceptions. He reveals that he had done a background check on her and found out that both her mother and sister were already dead. Then, he tells her about his plan to meet Joy later in the day and confess everything that had happened between them. Upon hearing this, Violet once again manipulates him into thinking that Joy never had the intention of meeting with him. She convinces him that Joy is currently at the mansion, so he drives home in search of Joy. Seeing that the house is locked, he enters through the back door and begins to search around Violet's room. Suddenly, Violet appears and hits him from behind, leaving him unconscious. When he gains consciousness, he finds himself tied up, with Violet in the room. Violet tells him that her plan was to prevent him from meeting with Joy at the agreed location. Seeing him struggle to free himself, Violet immediately injects him with drugs and happily watches as life slowly leaves his body. After some time, Joy returns from the tournament looking dejected after losing the match. Seeing her weak emotional state, Violet tries to convince her that Michael is the reason behind her failure. Joy, on the brink of believing this, suddenly knocks out of it after noticing the earrings on Violet's ear. She begins to criticize Violet for wearing her late mother's jewelry. As Violet tries to make an excuse for wearing the earrings, Joy cuts her off and tells her to leave the mansion soon. Later, as Joy enters the kitchen to make lunch, she sees Michael's jacket on the table and immediately realizes that Michael had been in the house, so she goes out in search of him. After a while, Ivan returns home and meets Violet at home. Upon seeing her, he reveals that he knows about her little plot that ruined his date night.
You pretended you were Joy, didn't you? You didn't give me her messages.
But Violet doesn't give up. She lies about being in love with him, and he somehow falls for her manipulation. So, they begin to make out. At the same time, Joy returns home and finds the house eerily quiet, so she goes to find her father. But a phone call interrupts her, and as soon as she picks it up, the caller informs her that Michael has been found unalive. Heartbroken, she goes to find her father, but is shocked to catch him in the act with Violet, so she immediately leaves the house in a car. Seeing the situation, Ivan tells Violet to pack out of the house, but she calls him out for abandoning her mother while she was little. When he insists that she leaves the house, she decides to unleash her last evil. Due to the situation, Ivan develops a heart attack and tries to call the ambulance, but Violet cuts off the house electricity, so he struggles to walk over to his car. As soon as he enters the car, he falls unconscious, so Violet starts the car's engine and allows it to keep running in the closed garage, ensuring that the lethal smoke fills the closed space, leaving him breathless. Meanwhile, Joy changes her mind about running away and returns to the mansion for her father. But she finds the mansion plunged into darkness, so she goes to the housekeeper's room to turn on the house's breaker box. However, she mistakenly stumbles on the dead body of the housekeeper. Frightened, she tries to call the cops, but realizes that the telephone doesn't work without electricity. As she looks around the house for her father, Violet sees her and forces her to wear a princess dress for their mini tea party. Joy fearfully obeys and sits for a drink. During this, she notices the syringe on the table and realizes that Violet is behind Michael's death. As she confronts Violet about this, Violet then reveals that they're actually sisters.
You're so lucky I'm your sister.
Afterwards, she offers a drink to Joy and forces her to take it. Seeing it's laced with poison, Joy refuses to drink, so they get into a fight. Joy tries to escape down the stairs, but Violet catches onto her, and as the fight gets intense, Violet mistakenly falls off the stairs and dies.